Hello everyone and welcome back. In today's lesson, we're going to look at a short story called The Lucky Horse. This is a story about gambling and luck. As you watch, I want you to read the story with me. After each section, I'll give you some reading comprehension questions. Try to answer in full sentences if you can. This will really help improve your English. We will look at some key vocabulary too, so you can build your word knowledge as we go. If you want the full lesson plan, you can download it for free by clicking the link below. All right, let's get started. Section 1. Don't worry, said Blake. It's a dead cert. It's a winner. They all say that, said Headley. They all say exactly the same words. But Headley still went to the track and laid his money down. He still wanted to believe that this horse would make all his problems go away. All the other nags before were just also-rans, total losers. But this one horse, this would be different. Headley stood by the fence and stared ahead at the gate. The horses all lined up, hot breath panting from their nostrils and mouths in great clouds. Headley could feel it on his arms and face. Key words. Dead cert. Dead cert. Something that is considered certain to succeed or win, with no doubt about the result. Laid his money down. Laid his money down. To risk or bet money on the outcome of an event. Also-rans. Also-rans. Competitors who take part in a race but do not succeed or achieve anything important. Reading comprehension questions. Who is the main character in the story? The main character in the story is Headley. What is he trying to do? He is trying to win money by betting on a horse. Where is he? He is at the racetrack. Who is Blake, and what information does he give to Headley about the horse race? Blake is someone who gives Headley a tip about which horse will win, telling him it is a dead cert. What does Headley say at the beginning of the story about the racing tips he gets from horse racing tipsters? He says that they all say the same thing, suggesting he does not fully trust them. Why does Headley decide to go to the horse track despite his reservations? He goes because he still hopes this horse will solve all his problems. Where does Headley go? Why does he want to go there? He goes to the racetrack because he wants to place a bet and win money. Section 2. He gripped the ticket between his fingers. He shook the ticket 3 times at the grass track in front of him and repeated a prayer to himself. Come on now, be lucky. Come on, be lucky. Come on, be lucky. He chanted out the 3 lines of his lucky verse. Beside him stood another punter. He held onto his ticket with a strained look on his face of desperate optimism. Headley didn't want to be associated with him, didn't want to be seen as any of these other losers or failures. He was not like them. Key words: gripped, gripped. Held something very tightly, often because of tension or strong emotion. Chanted, chanted. Repeated words or phrases in a rhythmic or almost ritualistic way. Punter, punter. A person who places bets, especially on horse races or sports. Reading comprehension questions. How does Headley feel about the other people at the racetrack? Why? He feels superior to them because he does not want to be seen as a loser like them. What does Headley do with his ticket before the race? He shakes it 3 times and repeats a lucky prayer. Section 3. This was the last time, his last race. He knew that now. He would take the winnings from this last horse, his lucky horse, and fix everything. The back payments on the apartment, his daughter's college fund, even new shoes for his wife. He would give them everything. He would repair everything in his life and make amends. Then he would never come down to this cursed racetrack again. He had spent too many hours here, lost so much money. Some wins, sure, but he always lost it again later. It never worked out. Key words: winnings, winnings. Money that is gained as a result of winning a bet or competition. Make amends. Make amends. To take action to repair damage or correct past mistakes. Cursed. Cursed. Described as bringing bad luck or misfortune over time. Reading comprehension questions. If Headley's horse wins, what will he do with the money? He will use the money to fix his financial problems and improve his life. What does he plan to do for his wife and daughter? He plans to support them financially and make amends for his past mistakes. Section 4. This time was different. This one last race. This one last lucky horse. Then back to a normal life again. He would move back in with his wife and daughter. They would be a family again. An announcement burst through the speakers above the rail. Ladies and gentlemen, the 3:30 from Happy Valley is due to start in a few moments. Take your places and stand clear of the racetrack. People edged forward. Headley governed his place by the rail, his vantage point. Key words. Announcement. Announcement. A public statement or message given to inform people of something. Edged forward. Edged forward. Moved slowly and carefully in a particular direction. Vantage point. Vantage point. A position that gives a clear and advantageous view of something. Reading comprehension questions. What information does the announcement give to the crowd? The announcement tells the crowd that the 3:30 race from Happy Valley is about to begin. Section 5. Then, on a huge board on the other side of the track, the list of horses that were running in the race. They all had typical racing horse names. Little Thunder, Dancing Nicely, Red Top. Key Point, Little Lucky, Little Vantage. That's my boy, thought Headley to himself. Key words. Typical. Typical. Having the usual or expected characteristics of a particular group. Racing names. Racing names. Names given to racehorses, often chosen to sound memorable or lucky. List. List. A series of items or names written one after another. Reading comprehension questions. What is written on the board beside the track? The board shows the names of the horses running in the race. Section 6. Wait, what was that? Little Lucky, Little Vantage. Those names were too similar. They had the same ring of fortune, or lack thereof, between them. Headley checked his racing ticket. It said Little Lucky. Was that his horse? He was sure it was. But was it? Panic flew into his veins, and his heart pounded out a message. You have made a big mistake. Keywords. Similar. Similar. Having a close resemblance or shared characteristics. Panic. Panic. A sudden feeling of intense fear that causes confusion or loss of control. Pounded. Pounded. Beat strongly and rapidly, often referring to the heart under stress. Reading comprehension questions. What causes Headley to panic? He panics because there are two horses with very similar names. How does Headley react when he realizes that two horses have similar names? He becomes confused and anxious and checks his ticket. Section 7. What if he had put everything on the wrong horse? Blake had told him it was a dead cert. What did that even mean? Some said these races were fixed, that all the winners were arranged by gangs. It was Blake's fault. He had given him the wrong horse. It was all his fault. He had relied on him for information, for inside info, and instead, Blake had given him the wrong horse. It could ruin his life, ruin his chances of fixing everything. Keywords. Relied on. Relied on. Depended on someone or something for support or information. Inside info. Inside info. Confidential or secret information not available to the general public. Ruin. Ruin. To completely destroy or severely damage something. Reading comprehension questions. What mistake does he think Blake has made? He thinks Blake gave him the wrong horse name. Why does he feel that way? He feels that way because he is afraid he has bet on the wrong horse. Section 8. Headley pulled out his phone and called Blake. Hello? What horse was it? Headley? What do you mean, what horse? The 3:30. Quick, what horse was it? The sound of rustling paper on the other end of the line. Little Vantage, said Blake. Key words. Rustling. Rustling. A soft, light sound made by movement, especially of paper or leaves. Desperate. Desperate. Feeling a strong need or urgency, often with little hope. Confirm. Confirm. To make certain that something is true or correct. Reading comprehension questions. Who does Headley call on the phone? He calls Blake. Describe Headley's emotional state when he calls Blake and learns about the horse's name. He is anxious and desperate to confirm the correct horse. Section 9. Little Vantage? Headley choked on the words. He pulled air into his lungs. I thought you said Little Lucky. There are 2 horses here. 2. Both of them with similar names. I thought you said Little Lucky. No, I didn't. Blake's voice was very stern. No friendliness now. I said Little Vantage. I even wrote it down for you. I've put everything on Little Lucky, said Headley. You said... Not my problem. Yours. The phone clicked off. Key words. Choked. Choked. Struggled to speak clearly due to strong emotion or lack of breath. Stern. Stern. Serious and strict in manner or tone. Clicked off. Clicked off. Ended suddenly, especially referring to a phone call. Reading comprehension questions. What does he find out? He finds out that Blake told him to bet on Little Vantage, not Little Lucky. Section 10. Headley swore through his clenched teeth. He put his phone back in his pocket and then searched all his other pockets for the piece of paper. An announcement came out of the speakers. And they're off. The horses charged out of the gate, and there was a rush of air as the crowd of punters cheered their horses on. Headley found the piece of paper, all scrunched up. He flattened it out and saw the letters. Little Vantage, 3:30. Keywords: clenched, clenched. Held tightly, often showing anger or tension. Charged, charged. Moved forward quickly and forcefully. Scrunched, scrunched. Crushed or folded into a tight, wrinkled shape. Reading comprehension questions. What does he do with the piece of paper? He finds it and reads the horse's name written on it. Section 11. He ripped the paper to shreds and threw it on the grass at his feet. He was ruined. He was finished. No more moving back in with the wife. She would never talk to him again. No more plans of making it up to his daughter. And he was behind with the rent. He could be made homeless. No job, no money. He was done for. Key words: shreds, shreds. Small torn pieces of something. Ruined, ruined. Completely destroyed or left without hope. Homeless, homeless. Without a place to live. Reading comprehension questions. Why does Headley rip up the piece of paper with the horse's name on it? He rips it up because he believes he has made a terrible mistake and lost everything. Section 12. Headley leaned on the rail and watched as the horses tore into the ground towards him. The commentator's voice bellowed through the speaker. And it's Little Lucky taking the lead. Little Lucky in full forward position. Little Lucky right in the lead. Headley stared at the horse in front. It was Little Lucky. It was the horse on his ticket. Blake was wrong all along. He gave him the wrong horse. Key words: bellowed, bellowed. Spoke or shouted loudly and powerfully. Taking the lead, taking the lead. Moving ahead of others in a competition. Stared, stared. Looked fixedly or intensely at something. Reading comprehension questions. How does Headley's attitude change when he hears the race commentator's announcement? His attitude changes from despair to hope when he realizes his horse is winning. Halfway through the race, which horse is winning? Little Lucky is winning. Section 13. Little Lucky was the horse. It was going to win. Little Lucky galloped ahead of the other horses. It was like it was no effort to him at all. The other nags trailed behind, long forgotten. Headley could not see which horse was Little Vantage. Little Lucky raced past Headley, right in front of him, and Headley cheered him on. "Go on, my son, go on!" Key words: galloped, galloped. Ran very fast, especially referring to a horse. Trailed, trailed. Followed behind at a distance. Cheered, cheered. Shouted encouragement or support. Reading comprehension questions. What happens during the horse race? How does the crowd react? Little Lucky takes the lead, and the crowd cheers loudly with excitement. How does Headley feel when he sees the horse, Little Lucky, leading the race? He feels excited and hopeful as he believes he will win. Section 14. The crowd around him roared as one, as Little Lucky stormed ahead towards the finishing line. Headley gazed at the back of the jockey's shirt as he tapped Little Lucky's rump with his crop. The announcer's voice lost in the lion's roar of the crowd, but Headley could see Little Lucky speed past the finishing line. The crowd went ballistic. Key words: roared, roared. Made a very loud, powerful noise. Gazed, gazed. Looked steadily and with focus. Ballistic, ballistic. Extremely excited or out of control with strong emotion. Reading comprehension questions. Was this the same horse that Blake advised Headley to bet on? No. Blake advised him to bet on Little Vantage. Which horse wins the race? Little Lucky wins the race. Section 15. Headley jumped up on the spot. He punched the air with victory. Yes, Little Lucky had won. He had won. He left the fence and marched back to the ticket cashier's. Time to cash in his ticket. He would call his wife, tell her all his debts were cleared. They could make a new start. No more horses, no more gambling. Key words. Punch the air. Punch the air. Made a strong upward movement with his fist to show excitement or victory. Cash in. Cash in. To exchange something, such as a ticket, for money. Debts. Debts. Money that is owed to others. Reading comprehension questions. How does Headley react when Little Lucky wins the race? He reacts with excitement and celebrates his victory. How does Headley feel when he goes to cash in his ticket? He feels happy and relieved. What does Headley plan to do with his winnings? How does he envision his future? He plans to pay off his debts and rebuild his life with his family. Section 16. But what an absolute freak chance of a win! It came out of nowhere. It was like he had been given a gift. Maybe that was it. Maybe today was his lucky day after all. Why ruin a good run? Why not take advantage of his leap of great luck? It would be stupid not to. After all, he could go back to his wife with 10 times the amount he had won now. Yes, that was the right thing to do. All he needed to do was pick the right horse. The lucky horse. Key words. Freak chance. Freak chance. An extremely unlikely or unexpected event. Take advantage of. Take advantage of. To use a situation in a way that benefits oneself. Convinces himself. Convinces himself. Persuades himself to believe something, often without strong evidence. Reading comprehension questions. Why does Headley contemplate taking another gamble, even after winning? He believes his luck will continue and wants to win even more money. Describe Headley's thought process as he considers betting again. He convinces himself that continuing to gamble is sensible because he feels lucky and wants greater rewards. All right, that's the end of the story. I hope you enjoyed The Lucky Horse. Don't forget, if you want the full lesson plan, you can get it for free. Click the link below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson.